You want peace? Then stop chasing it. It's not something the world gives. It's something you generate through discipline, clarity, and presence. The person who remains calm while the world trembles, that is the true master. In this lesson, I'll show you how to protect your inner citadel, silence the mind's torment, and walk through life with stillness in your soul. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready to master your mind, and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen closely, for what I'm about to share with you isn't merely advice. It's the foundation of an unshakable existence. I've commanded armies, ruled an empire, and faced betrayal from those closest to me. Through it all, I discovered one. Truth peace isn't found in controlling the world outside. It's built from within. Think of your mind as a fortress, not of stone and mortar, but of principles and understanding. This is your inner citadel. While others build walls to keep the world out, you must build walls to keep your wisdom in. Every morning, lay another stone. Every challenge, reinforce the foundation. Every setback, strengthen the gates. But what exactly is this citadel? It's the core of you that remains unmoved when insults fly, when fortune turns, when the very ground beneath your feet seems to crumble. It's not emotionless, it's emotion mastered. Not detached, but perfectly positioned to engage with life's trials without being consumed by them. Consider how you react when someone criticizes you. Does your peace shatter like thin glass? That's because you haven't built your walls high enough. The truly wise person hears the criticism and thinks, "This person's words reveal their character. Not mine. My worth isn't determined by their understanding." Here's what most don't grasp. Building this fortress isn't about becoming hard or cold. It's about becoming so solid in your principles that external forces lose their power over you. When you know who you are, truly know it in your bones, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. The construction of this citadel begins with a simple question: what can truly harm you? Not your reputation, it exists in the minds of others. Not your possessions, they were never truly yours. Not even your body. It belongs to nature. What remains? Your ability to choose, your capacity to respond with reason, your power to maintain dignity in the face of indignity. Each time you choose principle over impulse, you add a stone to your fortress. Each time you respond to hatred with understanding, you deepen your foundations. Each time you accept what you cannot change and focus on what you can, you strengthen your walls. But let me ask you this: how much energy do you waste trying to control things beyond your power? That energy could be spent fortifying your inner domain. The person who tries to control everything controls nothing. The person who masters themselves masters their world. Your citadel must have 4 walls: discipline to face what comes, wisdom to understand its true nature, justice to act correctly, and courage to maintain these principles regardless of consequence. These aren't merely virtues to admire. They're tools to build with, weapons to defend with. Remember, the strongest fortress isn't built in a day. It's constructed moment by moment, choice by choice, thought by thought. Start now. Begin with your next breath. Make it intentional. Make it yours. Let each inhale strengthen your resolve. Each exhale release what doesn't serve your peace. You already possess everything needed to build this citadel. The materials are within you: your reason, your dignity, your capacity for truth. The only question is, will you begin the construction today? The root of all human suffering lies in one fatal error: trying to control what cannot be controlled. I've seen generals lose battles because they couldn't accept the weather. I've watched politicians destroy themselves trying to manage public opinion. I've observed the wealthy torture themselves attempting to hold on to youth. Here's what most people don't understand. Control is not about having power over everything. It's about having perfect power over your response to anything. Think carefully about your last moment of distress. Was it truly the event that disturbed you, or your opinion about the event? When you investigate deeply, you'll find that your peace was not stolen. You surrendered it by demanding that reality be different than it is. Let me share with you the principle that transformed my rule as emperor. There are two circles in life. The first contains everything you can control: your thoughts, your judgments, your actions, your responses. The second contains everything you cannot: other people's opinions, natural disasters, the passage of time, the actions of others. Peace arrives the moment you stop living in the second circle and focus all your energy within the first. But let me ask you this: how much of your mental energy is spent right now trying to control things in that outer circle? Your partner's feelings, the weather, the traffic, the economy? This is like trying to control the ocean's waves by shouting at them, exhausting and futile. Instead, direct that energy inward. You cannot control whether someone respects you, but you can control whether you act respectable. You cannot control whether you succeed, but you can control whether you act with integrity. You cannot control whether others understand you, but you can control whether you speak truth. This is not passive acceptance. This is strategic focus. The archer cannot control the wind, but by understanding and accepting its presence, they can adjust their aim. They don't waste energy cursing the wind. They use that energy to perfect their shot. Here's a practical exercise. For the next hour, before every action or reaction, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it isn't, simply observe it, like watching clouds pass overhead. If it is, give it your complete attention and effort. You'll be amazed at how much energy you recover when you stop trying to manipulate what cannot be manipulated. This energy can then be invested in what you actually can influence: your character, your choices, your principles. Remember, the person trying to control everything controls nothing. The person who controls themselves controls their world. This is not a philosophy of inaction. It's a philosophy of focused action. When a storm approaches, the wise captain doesn't waste energy wishing for calm seas. They focus entirely on what they can control: the ship's direction, the crew's preparation, their own steadiness at the helm. The truth is brutal, but liberating. Most of what happens in life is not up to you, but your response to what happens. That is entirely yours. Guard this power jealously. It's the source of your dignity, your integrity, and ultimately, your peace. Why are you surprised by difficulty, by betrayal, by loss, by change? These are not anomalies in life. They are life itself. Your peace is fragile because your expectations are false. Listen carefully. The person who expects an easy life will be perpetually disappointed. The person who expects challenges will be perpetually prepared. I learned this truth not in the comfort of philosophical discourse, but in the brutality of war, the complexity of governance, and the solitude of personal loss. Every morning I would remind myself, today I will meet people who are ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and hostile. They are this way because they do not understand what is good and what is bad. But here's what most people don't understand. This expectation of difficulty is not pessimism, it's preparation. Just as the skilled warrior doesn't pray for an easy battle, but trains for a difficult one, the wise person doesn't hope for an easy life, but prepares for a challenging one. Think of yourself as the sky. Storms will come, this is certain. But does the sky fight the storms? Does it become less sky during thunder, lightning, or rain? No. It remains vast, unchanged, undiminished. The storms pass through it, but never become it. This is your model for inner peace. When you truly accept that difficulty is normal, something remarkable happens. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a navigator of them. The same waves that overwhelm the novice swimmer become tools of momentum for the skilled one. But let me ask you this. What are you currently resisting in your life? What reality are you fighting against rather than flowing with? This resistance, this wish for things to be different than they are, this is the source of your torment. Here's a truth that took me years to understand. Peace isn't the absence of storms. It's the ability to remain yourself in the midst of them. Consider this practice. Each morning, rehearse potential difficulties, not with anxiety, but with calm preparation. Today, I may face criticism. I will remember that others' judgments reflect their character, not mine. Today, I may face obstacles. I will remember that obstacles strengthen my resolve. Today, I may face loss. I will remember that nothing external is truly mine to lose. This is not negative thinking, it's strategic thinking. The archer who practices with a moving target will not be surprised when the real target moves. Remember, every challenge you face is an opportunity to demonstrate your principles. Every setback is a chance to practice your philosophy. Every storm is an invitation to prove your steadiness. You are not here to avoid life's difficulties. You're here to show how a human being can carry themselves with dignity through them. In time, you'll find that the very things that once disturbed your peace become the testing grounds where you demonstrate it. The criticism that once wounded you becomes the opportunity to practice detachment. The loss that once devastated you becomes the chance to practice acceptance. The chaos that once overwhelmed you becomes the moment to practice steadiness. Expect the storm. Welcome it. Let it strengthen you. But through it all, remain the sky, vast, clear, and unchanging. Here's a truth that will liberate you. You are not your emotions. You are the consciousness that observes them. This distinction is not merely philosophical. It is the foundation of unshakable peace. When anger rises within you, when fear grips you, when desire burns, or anxiety clouds your mind, remember, these are weather patterns passing through the sky of your consciousness. They are not you, you are the sky. But let me ask you this. How often do you become completely identified with your emotions? When anger arises, you don't say, I am experiencing anger. You say, I am angry. This subtle difference contains the seed of all suffering. Here's what most people don't understand. Emotions are like messengers arriving at the gates of your consciousness. You can hear their message without inviting them to rule your city. You can acknowledge their presence without surrendering your throne. I've commanded armies, ruled an empire, faced betrayal and loss. Through it all, I've learned that emotions are neither good nor bad. They are information. Anger tells you that a boundary has been crossed. Fear alerts you to potential danger. Anxiety signals uncertainty. These messages are useful, but they should not be your master. Consider this practice. The next time an emotion arises, observe it as if you were a scientist studying a natural phenomenon. Notice its quality, its intensity, its duration. Where do you feel it in your body? What thoughts accompany it? What urges does it create? This is not suppression. It is understanding. This is not denial. It is mastery. Think of yourself as a wise ruler of a vast kingdom. Various advisors, your emotions, come with urgent messages and demands. A good ruler listens to all advisors but is governed by none. They take the information, combine it with reason, and act from wisdom rather than impulse. Your emotions will tell you to react immediately, to speak harshly, to run, to hide, to grasp, to avoid. But you, the real you, can choose to respond with reason, with principle, with wisdom. Remember, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies your freedom. In that freedom lies your dignity. In that dignity lies your peace. When you feel overcome by emotion, practice this. Step back. Observe. Name the emotion precisely. Ah, this is frustration. This is disappointment. This is fear. This simple act of naming creates distance between you and the emotion. It reminds you that you are the observer, not the observed. The truly powerful person is not one who never feels negative emotions. That is numbness, not mastery. The powerful person is one who feels deeply, but remains sovereign over their response. Your emotions will come and go like clouds in the sky, like waves in the ocean, like leaves in the wind. Let them. Your peace comes not from controlling these natural phenomena, but from remembering who you are, the unchanging awareness in which all these changes occur. Practice this daily. Feel everything, but don't become anything. Let joy come, it will pass. Let sorrow come, it will pass. Let anger come, it will pass. What remains? You, the witness, the knower, the sky-like awareness that contains it. All but is contained by none. This is true emotional mastery, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of wisdom in the midst of feeling. You wouldn't expect a garden to flourish without daily tending. You wouldn't expect a body to strengthen without regular training. Why, then, do you expect your mind to maintain peace without consistent discipline? Here's what most people don't understand. Peace of mind is not a gift, it's a practice. It's not a destination you reach once and remain at forever. It's a discipline you must maintain daily, hourly, with each breath and thought. I speak not from theory, but from experience. As Emperor of Rome, I faced daily challenges that could shatter any semblance of inner peace. Betrayals, wars, plagues, the constant weight of decisions affecting millions. What preserved my sanity wasn't hope for easier days. It was the ritual of mental training. But let me ask you this. What is your daily practice for mental strength? You have a routine for your body, a schedule for your work, but what system do you have for training your mind? Consider this your mental training regimen. First, begin each day with examination. Before the world rushes in with its demands, sit in silence. Review your principles. Remind yourself of what is truly important. Ask yourself, what could disturb my peace today? How will I prepare for it? Second, create checkpoints throughout your day. Like a soldier maintaining their weapons, you must regularly maintain your mental state. When you eat, examine your desires. When you meet others, examine your judgments. When you rest, examine your actions. Third, practice perspective constantly. When something disturbs you, step back and ask, will this matter in a year? In 10 years? In 100 years? Train yourself to see events not as they appear to passion, but as they appear to reason. Fourth, interrogate your thoughts. When a negative thought arises, question it immediately. Is this true? Is this necessary? Is this helpful? Most disturbances begin not with events, but with our interpretations of them. Fifth, rehearse adversity. Don't just wait for challenges to test your peace. Actively imagine them. Picture losing what you value, facing what you fear, enduring what you dread. Not to torment yourself, but to prove to yourself that you can maintain dignity even in difficulty. Sixth, practice gratitude as a warrior practices with their sword. Each night, review what you've taken for granted: your breath, your reason, your opportunity to practice virtue. This isn't mere positivity, it's a recognition of the resources you have for maintaining peace. Remember, the mind strengthens or weakens based on how you use it. Every time you respond to anger with reason, you strengthen reason. Every time you replace anxiety with presence, you strengthen presence. Every time you choose principle over impulse, you strengthen principle. Here's a truth I learned from years of self-examination. Most people's minds are like untended gardens. Whatever seeds fall there, grow there. But yours must be different. You must be the careful gardener, selecting what you allow to grow, removing what doesn't serve peace, nurturing what promotes wisdom. This practice is not easy. There will be days when your thoughts scatter like leaves in a storm. Return to the practice. There will be moments when emotions flood your reason. Return to the practice. There will be times when habit overcomes principle. Return to the practice. The key is not perfection, it's persistence. Just as a warrior accepts that they will never finish training, accept that you will never finish training your mind. This is not a burden, it's an opportunity. Each day brings new chances to strengthen your mental discipline, to refine your perspective, to deepen your peace. Start now, with this breath, with this thought, with this moment. Your training ground is always the present moment. Your soul is heavy because you carry what was never yours to carry. You've gathered possessions, opinions, grievances, and attachments like a traveler who never learns to pack lightly. Today we discuss the art of letting go. Here's what most people don't understand. The path to peace is not through acquisition, but through release. Every unnecessary thing you carry is energy you cannot spend on what truly matters. As emperor, I learned this truth painfully. The more power I acquired, the more I understood that true power lies not in what you can hold on to, but in what you can release with dignity. Consider your current burdens. How many of your problems exist only in your thoughts about the past? How many of your anxieties are about futures that may never come? How many of your possessions truly serve your purpose? And how many simply serve your image? But let me ask you this. What are you afraid would happen if you let go? What identity are you protecting with all this psychological weight? Begin with your attachments to outcomes. You plant a seed. Let go of how the flower should bloom. You raise a child. Let go of who they should become. You create work. Let go of how others should receive it. Do your part with excellence, then release your grip on results. Next, examine your need for approval. How much peace have you traded for the opinions of others? Remember, their judgments reveal their character, not yours. Let them have their thoughts. You keep your peace. Release your grievances. Each one is a hook in your mind, anchoring you to a past that no longer exists. Understand, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Your resentment hurts you, not them. Let go of comparisons. Your journey is yours alone. There is no universal schedule for achievement, no standard pace for progress. Nature does not rush the seed to become a tree, yet everything happens in its time. Release your attachments to possessions. Everything you own owns a piece of your attention. Every object demands maintenance, protection, worry. Keep what serves your purpose. Release what serves only your vanity. Let go of the need to be right. How many relationships have been sacrificed on the altar of winning arguments? How much peace has been lost in the battle to prove points? Choose peace over victory. Release your resistance to what is. The nature of life is change. The nature of others is unpredictability. The nature of events is uncertainty. Stop fighting these fundamental truths. Your resistance to reality is the source of your suffering. Let go of the need to know everything. Some questions have no answers. Some paths have no maps. Some journeys require trust more than knowledge. Peace comes not from understanding everything, but from being at ease with not understanding. Release your attachment to comfort. Growth happens at the edges of your comfort zone. Peace is not the absence of challenge, it's the absence of resistance. To challenge, let go of who you think you should be. This image you carry, this ideal self that torments you with its perfection. Release it. Be who you are. Work with what you have. Start where you stand. Remember, nature works through subtraction. Rivers cut through rock not by force, but by persistence, removing what doesn't belong. Trees shed their leaves not in defeat, but in wisdom, releasing what they no longer need. Your peace works the same way. It's not about adding more philosophical knowledge, more spiritual practices, more possessions, more achievements. It's about releasing what blocks the peace that's already there. Start now. What can you release today? What opinion about yourself no longer serves you? What grudge can you set down? What possession can you let go? What expectation can you release? Your hands must be empty to receive what life is trying to give you. Your mind must be clear to receive the peace that's always been there. The battle for peace is won or lost in the first hour of your day. As emperor, I learned that the quality of my rule was determined not by the 1,000 decisions I made at noon, but by the few essential choices I made at dawn. Here's what most people don't understand. Your morning is not just the start of your day. It's the foundation of your mind's architecture. Build it poorly, and everything that follows will be unstable. But let me ask you this. How do you currently begin your day? Do you immediately reach for your devices, letting the world's chaos flood your mind before you've established your center? Do you rush into action without first anchoring yourself in principle? The wise person knows that the morning hours have a sacred quality. The world is quieter, the mind clearer, the spirit more receptive. This is when you must build your fortress for the day ahead. Here is the morning discipline I practiced even in times of war. First, rise before the sun. This is not about productivity, it's about sovereignty. In these quiet moments you remember who you are before the world tells you who you should be. Second, sit in silence, not to accomplish anything, not to become anything, simply to be present with yourself. Watch your breath. Notice your thoughts. Remember your principles. Third, review the day ahead, not with anxiety but with strategic awareness. What challenges might you face? What opportunities for virtue might arise? How will you maintain your peace when difficulty comes? Fourth, strengthen your resolve with contemplation. Remember those who came before you who faced greater challenges with dignity. Remember your own past trials, how you emerged stronger through principle. Fifth, examine your intentions. What will guide your actions today? Fear or wisdom? Reaction or response? Impulse or principle? Set your compass before beginning your journey. But here's what's crucial. This morning practice is not about perfection. It's about preparation. You're not trying to become superhuman. You're preparing to be deeply, wisely, steadily human. Some mornings your mind will resist silence. Sit anyway. Some mornings your body will crave more sleep. Rise anyway. Some mornings the world's demands will feel urgent. Let them wait. Remember, the world will try to set your agenda. Your messages will beg for attention. Your tasks will plead for immediacy. Your worries will demand consideration. This is precisely why you must establish your sovereignty first. Create a boundary around your morning practice. Guard it as a general guards their stronghold. This time is not negotiable. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity for anyone seeking to maintain peace in a chaotic world. In my years of rule, I noticed a direct correlation. The days I compromised my morning practice were the days my peace was most easily disturbed. The days I honored it were the days I maintained dignity even in crisis. This is not mere routine, it's ritual. The difference is crucial. A routine is something you do. A ritual is something that transforms you. Your morning practice should be approached with this understanding. If you master nothing else, master this. The first hour is the rudder of the day. Set it true, and your ship will stay course, even in storms. Let it waver, and you'll drift with every wind that blows. Start small if you must, but start. 10 minutes of silence is better than none. 1 page of contemplation is better than no reflection at all. Build gradually, but build daily. Your morning practice is not about achieving peace. It's about building the foundation that makes peace possible. It's about creating the conditions that allow wisdom to flourish. Begin tomorrow. Rise with purpose. Sit with presence. Plan with principle. Then watch how differently you move through the day when you begin it as a sovereign rather than a servant. The difference between a reaction and a response may seem subtle, but in this difference lies the secret of inner peace. A reaction is automatic, unconscious, driven by impulse. A response is chosen, conscious, guided by wisdom. Here's what most people don't understand. Between every event and your action lies a space. Your power, your freedom, and your peace exist in that space. As emperor, I faced daily provocations that could have triggered instant reactions, betrayals, threats, criticisms, emergencies. What preserved my dignity wasn't the absence of these triggers, but the presence of mind to choose, my response to them. But let me ask you this. How often do you act from reaction rather than response? When someone criticizes you, do you immediately defend? When circumstances disappoint you, do you instantly complain? When fear arises, do you automatically retreat? Consider this truth. A reaction comes from your programming, your habits, your triggers, your unconscious patterns. A response comes from your principles, your wisdom, your values, your conscious choice. The reactive person is like a puppet, pulled by strings of external events. The responsive person is like a sage, observing events and choosing their actions. With wisdom, here is the practice for mastering response over reaction. First, develop awareness of your triggers. What situations consistently provoke an automatic reaction in you? Criticism, disrespect, uncertainty? Name them, know them. This knowledge is your first line of defense. Second, create space between stimulus and action. When triggered, pause. Take a breath. Remember who you are and what you stand for. This pause is not weakness, it's wisdom. Third, question your initial impulse. When anger says attack, ask, is this necessary? When fear says run, ask, is this wise? When pride says defend, ask, is this useful? Fourth, choose your response. Based on principles, not emotions. What would your highest self do? What serves your deepest values? What maintains your peace while addressing the situation? Remember, reactions are easy, automatic, and often regrettable. Responses are challenging, conscious, and usually wise. This is not about suppressing emotions, it's about preventing emotions from suppressing your wisdom. Feel the anger, but respond with justice. Feel the fear, but respond with courage. Feel the hurt, but respond with dignity. In my years of leadership, I observed that the most dangerous moments were not when challenges arose, but when leaders reacted to those challenges without thought. A moment of reaction can undo years of careful response. Practice this. When someone speaks harshly to you, imagine their words traveling toward you in slow motion. Watch them approach. Notice your immediate reactive impulse. Let it pass. Then choose your response from wisdom rather than wound. The key is to become comfortable in that space between stimulus and response. Most people rush to fill this space with action, any action, to relieve the tension of uncertainty. But wisdom lives in this space. Peace is found in this pause. Your reactions reveal your programming. Your responses reveal your character. Which do you want to show the world? This is not easy. The world is designed to trigger reactions. The media wants you to react. Social networks want you to react. Advertisement wants you to react. Your peace depends on your ability to respond instead. Start with small provocations. Practice choosing response over reaction in minor irritations. Build this muscle gradually. Then, when major challenges come, you'll have the strength to respond with wisdom. Remember, every time you replace a reaction with a response, you strengthen your freedom. Every time you choose wisdom over impulse, you deepen your peace. Every time you act from principle rather than programming, you build your character. Your reactions are not you, they are what happens to you. Your responses are you. They are what you choose to be. What disturbs people's minds is not events, but their judgments about events. This is not philosophy. This is practical truth that can revolutionize your peace. Here's what most people don't understand. Reality is far simpler than your thoughts about reality. An event happens. This is simple. But then your mind creates layers of meaning, interpretation, and judgment. This is where suffering begins. As emperor, I witness this truth daily. The same event would occur, a military setback, a political challenge, a natural disaster, and I would watch as different minds created entirely different realities around it. Some would despair, others would plot revenge, others would see opportunity, and a few would maintain their peace. But let me ask you this. How many of your current problems are actual situations, and how many are your opinions about situations? How much of your mental suffering comes from events themselves, and how much from your interpretation of these events? Consider a simple criticism. The words themselves are just vibrations in the air, but your mind adds layers. This is disrespect. This threatens my status. This proves I'm not good enough. The suffering isn't in the criticism, it's in these added layers. Your mind is like a filter, constantly sorting reality into categories: good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant, fair, unfair. But these categories don't exist in nature. They're overlays your mind projects onto the simple facts of existence. Here is the practice for mastering your interpretations. First, learn to separate facts from opinions. When something disturbs you, ask, "What exactly happened?" Then ask, "What am I adding to what happened?" The difference between these answers is the source of your disturbance. Second, question your automatic interpretations. When you think this is terrible, ask, "Is it? According to what universal law?" When you think this shouldn't happen, ask, "Why not? Who made this rule?" Third, practice seeing events naked, stripped of your judgments. Someone doesn't reply to your message. This is the fact. They're ignoring me is your interpretation. They don't respect me is another layer of interpretation. I'm not important is yet another. Fourth, understand that your interpretations become your experience. If you declare an event to be a disaster, you'll experience disaster. If you view it as a lesson, you'll experience learning. If you see it as neutral, you'll maintain peace. Remember, most of what you call reality is interpretation. Your mind is constantly writing stories about what things mean, why they happen, what they say about you, what they portend for the future. This is not about positive thinking. It's about clear thinking. It's about seeing how much of your suffering is optional, created not by life, but by your judgments about life. In my years of rule, I learned that the same event could be a crisis or an opportunity, a disaster or a development, a curse or a blessing, depending not on the event itself, but on how it was interpreted. Practice this. When something disturbs your peace, pause and ask, "What are the bare facts here, separated from my story about them?" You'll be amazed at how simple reality becomes, and how much of your suffering lives not in events, but in interpretation. Your mind will resist this practice. It's invested in its interpretations. It believes its judgments are reality itself. But with patient observation, you'll see that most of what you call reality is really just habitual interpretation. This understanding is freedom. When you see that your suffering lives in interpretation, not reality, you gain the power to change your experience without changing the world. Start now. Take your current greatest concern, strip it down to bare facts. See how much of your worry lives not in what happened, but in what you think it means. This is the beginning of lasting peace. Remember, the world is simpler than your thoughts about it. Events are neutral until your judgments make them positive or negative. Your peace lives not in controlling events, but in mastering your interpretations of events. This is the ultimate freedom, realizing that while you cannot control most events, you have complete sovereignty over their interpretation. Use this power wisely. Let it serve your peace. In a world that never stops talking, silence becomes your greatest power. Not the silence of suppression, but the silence of sovereignty, the quiet confidence of one who knows when words are needed and when they merely dilute wisdom. Here's what most people don't understand. Every word you speak costs energy. Every opinion you express must be defended. Every argument you enter becomes a territory you must guard. But silence? Silence preserves your power. As emperor, I learned that the most powerful statements were often made without words. The strongest responses were frequently given in silence. The deepest wisdom was usually expressed in quiet presence. But let me ask you this. How often do you speak simply because silence makes you uncomfortable? How many of your words are truly necessary, and how many are just filling space? Consider these forms of silence. The silence of observation, where you watch and learn instead of immediately jumping to speak. This silence makes you wise. The silence of restraint, where you feel the urge to defend, attack, or prove yourself, but choose peace instead. This silence makes you strong. The silence of presence, where you offer your attention rather than your advice. This silence makes you valuable. The silence of dignity, where you refuse to engage with provocation or pettiness. This silence makes you sovereign. Remember, not every thought deserves expression. Not every opinion needs to be voiced. Not every emotion requires verbal release. Some of your greatest power lies in what you choose not to say. Here is the practice for mastering sovereign silence. First, become comfortable with pause. Before speaking, take a breath. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this helpful? Is this the right time? Am I the right person? Second, learn to distinguish between the urge to speak and the need to speak. The urge comes from ego, the need for attention, the desire to prove yourself, the habit of filling space. The need comes from wisdom, the right word at the right time for the right purpose. Third, practice strategic silence. When others are emotional, be calm. When others are rushing to speak, be patient. When others are trying to provoke, be still. Let your silence be your strength. Fourth, understand that silence is not passive. It's a form of action. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply observe. Simply remain still. Simply stay peaceful in the face of chaos. In my years of leadership, I noticed that those who spoke constantly diminished their impact, while those who chose their moments of speech carefully magnified their influence. Practice this. In your next conversation, reduce your words by half. Notice how this makes you choose them more carefully. Notice how this makes others listen more attentively. Notice how this preserves your energy. Your silence should not come from fear or suppression. It should come from strength and wisdom. It should be the silence of one who could speak but chooses not to, who could react but chooses peace instead. Understand, in silence you hear what others miss. In silence you see what others overlook. In silence you maintain what others squander. Your power, your peace, your clarity. Most people fear silence because in silence they must face themselves. But this is precisely why silence is valuable. It returns you to yourself, reminds you of your center, restores your sovereignty. Start now. Let your next response be silence. Not the awkward silence of one who doesn't know what to say, but the powerful silence of one who knows that nothing needs to be said. Remember, the truly powerful person is not the one who can outtalk others, but the one who can remain peaceful and present in silence. Your silence is your sovereignty. Guard it well. Your duty is to the action, not its fruits. This simple truth, once fully understood, will revolutionize your peace of mind. The archer's excellence is in the shot, not in where the arrow lands. Here's what most people don't understand. You can control your actions with perfect precision, but you can never control their results with equal certainty. Yet most people do the opposite. They obsess over outcomes while being casual about their actions. As emperor, I faced this truth daily. Every decision, every policy, every military campaign had consequences affecting millions. If I had attached my peace to outcomes, I would have lost my sanity. Instead, I learned to focus entirely on what I could control, the wisdom of the decision, the integrity of the action, the dignity of the execution. But let me ask you this. How much of your mental energy is currently spent worrying about outcomes you cannot control? How often do you poison the present moment with anxiety about future results? Consider this truth. The outcome is not in your hands, never was, never will be. What's in your hands is the quality of your action, the integrity of your intention, the excellence of your effort. Here is the practice for mastering detachment from outcomes. First, clarify what you can control. In any situation, ask, what aspect of this is truly in my power? Usually it's your effort, your intention, your response, your preparation. Second, commit completely to excellence in action. Since you can control the action perfectly, make it perfect. Since you can't control the outcome at all, release it completely. Third, understand that attachment to outcomes creates divided attention. When you're thinking about results, you're not fully present in the action. When you're worried about success, you're not focused on excellence. Fourth, recognize that your peace cannot depend on something you cannot control. If your tranquility requires a specific outcome, you've already lost it. Remember, nature determines outcomes. Your role is to act with wisdom, skill, and integrity. The rest is not your business. In my years of governance, I observed that the most effective leaders were those who could maintain their peace regardless of results. They didn't succeed more. Often, they simply remained steady through both success and failure. Practice this. In your next important task, divide it clearly in your mind. What aspects can you control completely? What aspects are partially or completely outside your control? Pour your energy into the first category. Release your attachment to the second. This is not about lowering your ambitions. It's about correctly placing your focus. You can have grand goals while remaining detached from outcomes. You can work toward success while maintaining peace regardless of results. Think of it this way. A farmer plants seeds with care and skill. They create perfect conditions for growth. But they don't attach their peace to whether it rains or shines. They don't lose sleep over whether birds will eat some seeds. They do their part perfectly and accept nature's part completely. Your peace must work the same way. Do your absolute best, then let go absolutely. Act with perfect attention, then detach with perfect acceptance. This detachment is not passivity. It's not resignation. It's the highest form of action, action unclouded by anxiety about results, action undiluted by fear of failure, action uninhibited by attachment to success. Start now. Take your current greatest concern. What aspects of it can you control with certainty? Focus there. What aspects are beyond your control? Release them. Feel how your energy shifts from anxiety about the future to excellence in the present. Remember, the wise person knows that peace cannot depend on outcomes, because outcomes cannot be controlled. Peace must depend on what you can control perfectly, your own actions, choices, and responses. Your role is to act with excellence. The universe will handle the rest. This is not a limitation of your power. It's a clarification of it. In this understanding lies unshakable peace. The present moment is not just another point in time, it is the only point where life actually happens. The past exists only in memory, the future only in imagination. Your peace, your power, your very existence occurs now, and only now. Here's what most people don't understand. While you're worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday, your life, your actual life, is flowing past you unnoticed, unlived, unappreciated. As emperor, this truth became my anchor. With the weight of an empire on my shoulders, I could have easily lost myself in future concerns or past regrets. What preserved my sanity was a ruthless commitment to the present moment. But let me ask you this. Where does your mind spend most of its time? In memories of what was? In anxieties about what might be? How often are you fully, completely, unconditionally here? Consider this reality. The past cannot be changed. It can only be accepted or resisted. The future cannot be controlled. It can only be prepared for or feared. But the present is where your power lives. Here is the practice for mastering presence. First, understand that time-traveling thoughts create unnecessary suffering. When you worry about the future, you create anxiety. When you regret the past, you create depression. When you're present, you create peace. Second, recognize that presence is not just another spiritual idea, it's practical power. Every decision you make, every action you take, every response you choose happens in the present moment. The more present you are, the more powerful these choices become. Third, practice continuous return. Your mind will wander. This is its nature. Don't fight it. Simply notice when you've drifted into past or future, and gently return to now. Each return strengthens your presence. Fourth, understand that presence is not passive, it's intense aliveness. To be fully present means to be completely engaged with what is, totally aware of what's happening, deeply connected to your experience. Remember, you have never lived in any moment except this one. You have never made a decision except in the present. You have never taken action except now. This is not philosophy, it's practical reality. In my years of leadership, I noticed that my worst decisions came from future fear or past regret, while my best decisions came from present clarity. The quality of your presence determines the quality of your life. Practice this. For the next hour, commit to full presence in whatever you're doing. If you're eating, just eat. If you're walking, just walk. If you're listening, just listen. Notice how this changes the quality of your experience. Your mind will resist this practice. It's addicted to time traveling. It believes that worrying about the future is being prepared, and revisiting the past is learning from experience. But worry is not preparation, and replay is not learning. True preparation happens in the present, through clear action now. True learning happens in the present, through clear observation now. Everything of value happens now. Start with your breath. It's always present. When you notice your mind wandering, return to your breath. Not to control it, not to change it, just to notice it. This simple practice will anchor you in the now. This is not about ignoring the future or forgetting the past. It's about engaging with them properly, from the solid ground of presence. Plan for tomorrow, but plan now. Learn from yesterday, but learn now. Your peace cannot live in the future. That's just imagination. Your peace cannot live in the past. That's just memory. Your peace can only live now, because you only live now. Remember, the present moment is not a stopping point on the way to something better. It's not a stepping stone to the future. It's the only place where life actually happens, where peace actually exists, where power actually works. Your task is simple but profound. Be here, now, fully. This is not a spiritual luxury. It's a practical necessity for peace. The unprepared mind shatters when adversity strikes. But the mind that has rehearsed difficulty, that has visualized loss, that has imagined pain, this mind remains steady when challenges arrive. Here's what most people don't understand. Mental. Preparation for adversity is not negative thinking. It's strategic immunity building. Just as your body builds immunity through controlled exposure to challenges, your mind builds resilience through conscious rehearsal of difficulties. As emperor, I practice this daily. Each morning, I would imagine losing what I valued: health, power, reputation, even life itself, not to torment myself, but to remind myself that I could maintain dignity even in loss, peace, even in adversity. But let me ask you this. How often do you mentally rehearse challenging scenarios? Or do you avoid thinking about difficulty, superstitiously believing that thinking about problems might attract them? Consider this truth. Life will test you. This is not pessimism, it's reality. The only question is, will you face these tests? With a mind that's never contemplated challenge, or with a mind that's rehearsed maintaining peace even in difficulty? Here is the practice for building mental resilience. First, select a comfort you currently enjoy. It could be health, wealth, relationship, reputation. Now imagine losing it, not with anxiety, but with calm investigation. How would you maintain dignity in that loss? What principles would guide you? Second, imagine facing criticism or betrayal. Watch the scene unfold in your mind. Notice your reactive impulses. Practice choosing responses aligned with your principles rather than your emotions. Third, visualize physical discomfort or pain, not to increase fear, but to remind yourself that your peace doesn't depend on comfort. Your dignity isn't determined by circumstances. Fourth, rehearse maintaining presence in chaos. Imagine everything going wrong and you remaining steady, clear, and principled. This isn't about preventing difficulty. It's about preventing difficulty from preventing your peace. Remember, this practice isn't about attracting negative experiences. It's about removing their power to disturb your peace when they naturally occur. In my years of leadership, I noticed that those who couldn't imagine difficulty were destroyed by it when it arrived. Those who had mentally rehearsed challenges remained steady through them. Practice this. Each morning, spend 5 minutes imagining a significant challenge. It could be professional failure, personal loss, public embarrassment. Don't dwell on the pain. Focus on maintaining your principles through the difficulty. This is not meditation on disaster. It's rehearsal for dignity. You're not practicing what might go wrong. You're practicing staying right when things go wrong. Think of it like this. A warrior doesn't wait until battle to learn fighting. They practice in peace. A sailor doesn't wait until the storm to learn navigation. They practice in calm seas. Why should you wait until adversity strikes to learn? Emotional resilience? Your peace must be storm-proof. It must be criticism-proof. It must be loss-proof. Not because you won't feel storms, criticism, or loss, but because you've rehearsed maintaining dignity through them. Start small. Imagine minor irritations, traffic, rudeness, technical difficulties. Practice maintaining peace through these. Small challenges. Then gradually increase the intensity of your mental rehearsals. This practice will change how you view challenges when they actually arrive. Instead of thinking, this shouldn't be happening, you'll think, I've prepared for this. Instead of reacting from fear, you'll respond from readiness. Remember, life's difficulties are not optional, but suffering through them is. The prepared mind doesn't suffer less. It suffers better. It maintains dignity in difficulty, peace in adversity, principle in challenge. Your task is not to prevent storms. It's to become the kind of person who remains steady through them. This steadiness comes not from hoping difficulties never arrive, but from knowing you'll maintain your character when they do. Emotions are like weather. They change constantly. Principles are like the North Star. They remain fixed. If you want unshakable peace, you must learn to navigate by principles rather than feelings. Here's what most people don't understand. Living by principle isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about having something stronger than emotions to guide you. When feelings storm and urges surge, principles become your anchor. As emperor, I faced this challenge daily. Every decision carried emotional weight, anger at betrayal, fear of failure, pride in success. What preserved my clarity wasn't the absence of these emotions, but the presence of unwavering principles. But let me ask you this. What currently guides your important decisions? The temporary force of feelings or the permanent power of principles? When emotions clash with values, which usually wins? Consider this truth. Emotions make excellent servants but terrible masters. They provide energy and information, but they should never provide direction. Direction comes from principle. Here is the practice for living by principle. First, identify your core principles. What values remain true regardless of circumstance? What guidelines would you follow even if they led to temporary discomfort? These are your principles. Second, write these principles down clearly and review them regularly. Not as mere words, but as commitments. Not as distant ideals, but as practical guidelines for daily decisions. Third, practice using principles to filter decisions. Before acting, ask, does this align with my principles, or am I just following an emotional impulse? Let the answer guide your choice. Fourth, understand that principles don't eliminate emotions. They contextualize them. You'll still feel anger, fear, desire, but principles help you respond to these feelings with wisdom rather than reaction. Remember, emotions tell you what feels good now. Principles tell you what's right, always. Peace comes from consistently choosing the second over the first. In my years of leadership, I observed that those who lived by emotion were constantly turbulent, rising and falling with every success and failure. Those who lived by principle maintained steady progress regardless of circumstance. Practice this. Take your current biggest challenge. Notice the emotions it triggers. Now step back and ask, what would my principles say about this situation? Notice how this shifts your perspective from reactive to responsive. Your emotions will resist this practice. They'll demand immediate attention, immediate action, immediate relief. This is precisely why principles are necessary. They provide the wisdom that emotions often lack. Think of it this way. Emotions are like waves on the ocean's surface, constantly changing, rising and falling. Principles are like the ocean's depths, steady, consistent, unmoved by surface turbulence. Your peace must come from depth, not surface. It must be anchored in principle, not dependent on emotion. This doesn't mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means having something stronger than feelings to guide you. Start with small decisions. When you feel the urge to react, pause and consult your principles. When you want to take the easy path, check if it aligns with your values. Build this habit in minor moments so it's available in major ones. This practice will transform how you handle challenges. Instead of asking, "How do I feel about this?" you'll ask, "What do my principles say about this?" Instead of seeking emotional comfort, you'll seek principle action. Remember, emotions are temporary advisors. Principles are permanent guides. The person guided by emotion lives at the mercy of psychological weather. The person guided by principle maintains direction regardless of conditions. Your task isn't to eliminate emotions. It's to ensure they don't eliminate your principles. Feel fully but choose wisely. Let emotions inform you, but let principles guide you. This is the foundation of unshakable peace, knowing that regardless of how you feel, you'll act according to principle. This consistency creates confidence. This confidence creates calm. This calm creates peace. There exists a subtle balance that few understand, but all must master. Complete acceptance of what happens, combined with complete responsibility for how you respond. This is not contradiction. It is completion. Here's what most people don't understand. Acceptance is not passivity. Action is not resistance. True power lies in accepting what fate brings, while directing what you can influence with absolute clarity. As emperor, this truth became my foundation. I couldn't control every event that affected the empire, but I could control my response to every event. I couldn't determine what challenges would arise, but I could determine how I would meet them. But let me ask you this. How often do you waste energy fighting what has already happened? How often do you confuse acceptance with weakness, or mistake resistance for strength? Consider this truth. Every moment presents you with two elements, what is happening and what you will do about it. The first is already determined. The second is your domain of power. Here is the practice for mastering this balance. First, understand that acceptance doesn't mean liking what happens. It means acknowledging reality without wasting energy, wishing it were different. The storm is here. Now, what will you do? Second, recognize that action doesn't mean trying to control everything. It means identifying what you can influence and directing your energy there with perfect precision. Third, practice immediate acceptance followed by immediate assessment. When something happens, say, "This is now reality. What aspects of it can I influence? Where can I direct my energy effectively?" Fourth, understand that peace comes not from controlling circumstances, but from maintaining dignity within them. Accept what comes. Control how you respond. Remember, nature will do what nature does. Your role is not to argue with it, but to work with it skillfully, like a sailor who accepts the wind but uses it to steer their course. In my years of leadership, I noticed that those who fought against fate wasted their energy in resistance, while those who accepted fate and directed action achieved far more with less struggle. Practice this. When facing any situation, divide it clearly in your mind. What aspects are already determined? Accept these completely. What aspects can you influence? Act on these decisively. This is not about surrendering to circumstances. It's about engaging with them wisely. Not about giving up, but about knowing where to apply your effort effectively. Think of it like this. A tree accepts the soil it grows in, but directs its growth toward the sun. It doesn't waste energy complaining about its location. It uses that energy to flourish where it is. Your peace must work the same way. Accept your current reality completely, then act within it powerfully. Accept your current circumstances, then direct your response purposefully. Start with small situations. When something minor goes wrong, practice immediate acceptance followed by directed response. Build this habit in small moments, so it's available in large ones. This practice will transform how you handle challenges. Instead of thinking, "This shouldn't be happening," you'll think, "This is happening. How can I respond effectively?" Instead of fighting reality, you'll work with it. Remember, the wise person knows that fighting what has already happened is futile. They save their energy for influencing what can still be changed. Your task is to develop this dual capacity, perfect acceptance and directed action. Feel the peace that comes from accepting what is, combined with the power that comes from acting on what can be. This is not contradiction, it is completion, like an archer who accepts the wind but adjusts their aim, like a martial artist who accepts their opponent's force but directs it purposefully. This balance, once mastered, creates unshakable peace, not because you can control everything, but because you know exactly what to accept and what to direct. Your mind is not a public square, it is a sacred temple. What you allow into it will shape your thoughts, influence your peace, and determine your life's direction. Guard its entrance with unwavering vigilance. Here's what most people don't understand. Your mind is constantly being influenced by what you allow into it. Every image you see, every word you read, every conversation you engage in, these are not neutral events. They are programming. As emperor, I learned this truth through observation. Those who consumed chaos became chaotic. Those who surrounded themselves with wisdom became wise. Those who entertained constant negativity lost their peace. But let me ask you this. How carefully do you guard your mental gates? How selective are you about what information, what conversations, what influences you allow into your mind? Consider this truth. Your mind processes everything you expose it to. Whether you want it to or not, whether you believe in it or not, every input leaves its trace. Like a white cloth that takes on the color of whatever dye it's exposed to, here's the practice for protecting your mental space. First, become conscious of your inputs. What do you read? What do you watch? Who do you listen to? These are not mere entertainment choices, they are mind-shaping decisions. Second, establish strict criteria for what gains entrance to your mind. Is it true? Is it useful? Is it necessary? Is it aligned with your peace? If not, why are you allowing it in? Third, practice mental hygiene daily, just as you wouldn't let garbage accumulate in your home. Don't let mental garbage accumulate in your mind. Regular cleaning is essential. Fourth, understand that protection isn't isolation. It's not about avoiding all negative information. It's about processing it purposefully rather than absorbing it unconsciously. Remember, your mind will be influenced by something. If you don't choose those influences consciously, they will be chosen for you, usually by those who don't have your peace in mind. In my years of leadership, I observed that those who were careless with their mental inputs became increasingly reactive, anxious, and peaceless. Those who guarded their mental space maintained clarity even in chaos. Practice this. For the next week, audit your mental inputs. What percentage serves your peace? What percentage disturbs it? What changes need to be made? Your mind will resist this practice. It's addicted to stimulation, to drama, to the constant flow of new information. This is precisely why protection is necessary. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you allow to be planted, there will grow. Whether you want them to or not, whether you believe in them or not, they will produce their natural fruit. Your peace depends on what you cultivate in this garden. Plant thoughts of wisdom, they grow into insight. Plant thoughts of gratitude, they grow into contentment. Plant thoughts of drama, they grow into disturbance. Start with your morning. The first hour of your day is especially important. What do you allow into your mind during this crucial time? News, social media, complaints, or wisdom, reflection, purpose. This practice will transform your mental state. Instead of being a passive receiver of whatever the world throws at you, become an active curator of what you allow into your consciousness. Remember, not everything that demands your attention deserves it. Not every thought that appears needs to be entertained. Not every emotion that arises needs to be engaged. Your task is to become the vigilant guardian of your mental space. Feel the peace that comes from knowing that what enters your mind has passed through conscious choice rather than unconscious habit. This is not about creating an artificial bubble of positivity. It's about maintaining mental sovereignty. It's about ensuring that what shapes your thoughts serves your peace rather than disturbs it. Peace is not a destination you reach. It's a nature you develop. It's not something you visit occasionally. It's something you become permanently. This transformation from seeking peace to being peace is the ultimate achievement. Here's what most people don't understand. Most seek peace as if it were a place to arrive at, a state to achieve, a moment to reach. But true peace is not an achievement. It's an embodiment, not a place you go to, but a way you become. As emperor, I witnessed countless people searching for peace in external achievements, in perfect circumstances, in the resolution of all problems. What I learned was that lasting peace comes not from solving all problems, but from changing your fundamental relationship with problems. But let me ask you this. Are you still seeking peace, or are you practicing being peace? Are you waiting for circumstances to align, or are you aligning yourself with peace regardless of circumstances? Consider this truth. A peaceful person isn't someone who lives in peaceful circumstances. It's someone who brings peace to any circumstance. Like a lamp that doesn't need darkness to be a lamp, but reveals its nature most clearly in darkness. Here is the practice for making peace your nature. First, understand that peace is not an emotion. It's a way of being. It's not about feeling peaceful all the time. It's about maintaining your center regardless of feelings. Second, practice peace especially when it's difficult. Anyone can be peaceful in peaceful circumstances. The real transformation happens when you maintain peace in chaos. Third, make peace your default response. Before reacting, before deciding, before speaking, return to peace. Make it your starting point, not your goal. Fourth, understand that peace as nature means being peace for others, not just for yourself. Like a solid tree that provides shade whether or not anyone sits in it. Remember, you don't need to create peace. You need to remove what blocks it. Peace is your natural state when all resistance falls away. In my years of leadership, I observed that those who sought peace never found it permanently, while those who developed peaceful nature maintained it even in difficulty. Practice this. In your next challenging situation, don't try to find peace. Be peace. Don't seek calm. Embody calm. Notice the difference between searching and being. Your mind will resist this transformation. It's used to seeking, to achieving, to arriving. This is precisely why the shift to being is so powerful. Think of it this way. A tree doesn't try to be a tree. It simply grows according to its nature. Your peace must work the same way. Not something you achieve through effort, but something you allow to express itself naturally. Your peace must become so natural that it's harder to lose it than to maintain it. Like water that naturally finds its level, your mind should naturally find its peace. Start with small moments. When minor irritations arise, practice being peace rather than seeking it. Build this natural response in small situations so it becomes automatic in larger ones. This practice will transform your entire relationship with peace. Instead of chasing after it, you'll express it. Instead of waiting for it, you'll embody it. Remember, the ocean doesn't practice being deep. It is deep. The sky doesn't try to be vast. It is vast. Your peace must become equally natural. Your task is not to achieve peace, but to remove everything that makes you unpeaceful. Like a sculptor who doesn't add to the stone, but removes what's not the statue. This is the ultimate shift. From peace as an occasional visitor to peace as your constant nature. From peace as something you do to peace as something you are. When this transformation is complete, you'll no longer need techniques for finding peace. You'll simply be peace. You won't need methods for returning to calm. You'll be the calm that others return to. This is not idealism. It's the most practical thing you can do, because when peace is your nature, it's available in all circumstances, at all times, without effort or search. The final and perhaps most crucial lesson in mastering inner peace is this. Your ego, that self-important, easily offended, constantly demanding part of you, is the greatest obstacle to lasting peace. The solution is not to fight it, but to let it die daily. Here's what most people don't understand. The ego isn't your enemy. It's simply a structure that has outlived its usefulness, like scaffolding that helped build the building, but now blocks the view. As emperor, I faced this truth daily. The position itself fed the ego constantly, with power, with praise, with privilege. What preserved my peace was the daily practice of letting this artificial self die, of returning to simple human dignity. But let me ask you this. How much of your suffering comes from genuine threats to your well-being, and how much comes from threats to your ego? How often is your peace disturbed not by actual problems, but by perceived slights to your self-importance? Consider this truth. The ego is like a demanding child. The more you give it, the more it wants. The more you protect it, the more vulnerable it becomes. The more you listen to it, the louder it gets. Here is the practice for dying to the ego. First, observe how your ego operates. Notice when it feels inflated by praise or deflated by criticism. Watch how it constantly compares, constantly judges, constantly demands recognition. Second, understand that your ego isn't you. It's a collection of thoughts about you, images of you, stories about you. But these thoughts, images, and stories are not your essence. Third, practice letting small bits of your ego die daily. When someone takes credit for your idea, let it go. When you're not acknowledged, accept it. When you're proven wrong, admit it freely. Fourth, realize that peace and ego cannot coexist fully. The ego demands constant validation, constant victory, constant recognition. Peace requires none of these. Remember, every time you choose peace over ego, you become stronger. Every time you let go of self-importance, you become more important. Every time you die to pride, you rise in dignity. In my years of leadership, I observed that those most attached to their ego image were the least effective leaders, while those who could put aside self-importance had the greatest impact. Practice this. For one day, watch how often your ego demands attention, how often it feels offended, how often it needs to be right, how often it seeks recognition. Just observe without judgment. Your ego will resist this observation. It doesn't want to be seen clearly because clear seeing dissolves its power. This resistance itself is worth observing. Think of it this way. Your ego is like a cloud that thinks it's the sky. It doesn't need to be fought. It just needs to be seen for what it is. Once seen clearly, it begins to dissolve naturally. Your peace grows in direct proportion to your willingness to let the ego die, not through violence against it, but through the gentle recognition that you are not it. Start with small deaths. When you feel the need to defend your image, let it go. When you want to prove your importance, remain quiet. When you seek validation, find stillness instead. This practice will transform your entire relationship with yourself. Instead of constantly defending an image, you'll rest in your true nature. Instead of seeking importance, you'll discover your inherent dignity. Remember, the ego fears death, but you are not the ego. What dies is not you, only your attachment to a false self-image. What remains is your true nature, inherently peaceful. Your task is not to kill the ego. That approach itself comes from ego. Your task is to see it clearly, understand its mechanics, and let it die naturally through lack of engagement. This is the deepest peace, the peace that comes when there's no self-image to protect, No importance to defend, no ego to maintain. Just simple presence, natural dignity, and effortless being. When the ego dies, what remains is not emptiness, but fullness, not weakness, but strength, not confusion, but clarity. And in this clarity lies unshakable peace. Word count 635. If this message spoke to you, subscribe for more powerful mindset content. Let us know in the comments. What part hit you the hardest? You already have what it takes. Now go prove it.